a video on some leftover pork shoulder that I've got and what I'm going to do with it. So I never really kind of know what to do with leftover pork, but it's some pork shoulder and it's the fatty bits from the end. It was quite fatty anyway. It made some delicious lard. I cut the extra fat off and the skin off and I minced it down and rendered it out, and it made some delicious lard which I'm going to turn into pastry at some point. But I never kind of really know what to do with it, and it's got these big lumps of fat in and a bit of skin like that there and that, and I was kind of thinking about what my dad used to do after Christmas, and he used to make turkey rissoles with the leftover turkey meat, which were, you know, pretty poor if I'm honest. They were a bit dry, but there again, turkey meat is kind of quite dry. So I don't know why, and it was my grandma's recipe, so it was probably like it's after the Second World War, food shortages and that type of recipe type of thing. They were just disappointing, and I kind of thought, well, maybe we should be able to. I quite like a pork meatball, so why can we not treat the rissoles a little bit more like pork meatballs? Obviously it's cooked, but why can we not make them more like a meatball and see how they turn out? And I made some chicken dumplings a few weeks back, and they were a little bit softer, and I poached them in some tomato sauce, a homemade tomato sauce, not tomato ketchup. That's the motion of squeezing out the tomato ketchup, but like a tomato sauce, which was a Jewish recipe, but it was chicken rather than pork, because Jews don't eat pork. And it was really nice, and they used chicken fat in there as well because they're kind of quite fatty. Used chicken skin in with the sauce, and it was delicious. So I kind of thought, why can't we not do that with some leftover pork? Mince it up, combine it with some cooked onion and some nice bread and an egg or two, and make like a loose dumpling stroke rissole stroke meatball, and poach it in some tomato sauce. I thought that might be kind of nice, and while we're at it, I kind of thought we'll do like a softer version, so it's like dumpling, and then we'll do a harder version like a meatball, and we'll still call them rissoles. I've seen the rissoles that my dad made were with cooked turkey, leg meat and breast meat, kind of all the bits that kind of stripped off the carcass. I've seen some rissole recipes that use raw meat. I've seen some recipes that use cooked meat. So it's kind of just a bit of a faffer kind of round, and to kind of see what I can do with some leftover pork, because it's not really, apart from heating it up, what can you do with it? You chop it up, fry it up, treat it like bacon or like a ham steak or something like that. But I thought I'll mince it and we'll have a go. So I'm talking when I should be chopping and doing some stuff. So I will. Oh, and yeah, I did the chicken dumplings, and I cooked them a bit like a shushka with some chickpeas in with the tomato sauce, which is very nice. So I kind of thought we'll do the same again. So it's going to be like two ways. So I'll do some chopping, I'll do some cooking, and do some mincing. Mincing of that rather than me mincing around the kitchen. Well, pretty much do that anyway. So we'll do some of that, and then we're back when we're actually doing something rather than me just waffling, which I'm always doing. I'm always waffling. I should just be cracking on like I should be doing now. Tomato sauce is on the go. It's not going to be ready for a while because it needs to cook down. I've used 2 carrots, 3 sticks of celery, 3 onions, and 3 tins of tomatoes, cheap ones, because that's what I had in the cupboard, and they were on offer in the supermarket. Chickpeas cooking on the back, pretty straightforward. So I've minced the pork meat up. There was about 650 grams worth of cooked meat. I reckon, when we're talking the difference between cooked meat and raw meat, I reckon about a kilo of raw meat is about the right type of weight of about 600 grams of cooked meat, because you lose volume when you cook meat. So I reckon that's probably about the 600 grams was about a kilo of meat if it was raw. So 650 grams worth of minced pork shoulder, and then we've got 100 grams worth of bread, and we've got 2 sautéed onions in there. It's quite wet, so I'm concerned about how much egg I'm going to use. So I could add, I've split the mixture into 2. We could just add an egg to all the mixture and see how it turns out, but I'm slightly concerned that it might turn out a little bit wetter than I want. So what we'll do is we will add an egg to half the mixture, and then if we need to add more mixture to that, we can kind of judge it that way, because I'm not working off a recipe, I'm just kind of like winging it. I suppose I should beat the egg, but I can't be bothered. I'm going to mix it all together. So, and for the dumplings, I kind of want a wet mixture. Oh, it might be okay. Actually, I might want another egg. I'm going to taste it. Season it, put some salt and pepper in. It so reminds me of what my dad's rissoles taste like. Right. So what am I going to do? I think that's good consistency. If we're going to make some meatballs, I think that's good consistency, and it will keep all those meatballs together. So what am I going to do? That's good. That's good. I want them a little bit looser for the dumplings. So let's do these. We'll roll out these. Let's do. We'll get an idea of how much we can make, and then we might just add 2 eggs to that other half of the mixture, because they'll make nice. They're about the right kind of firmness for a meatball, maybe a bit less on that one. Always prepared. I think when I watch videos and they do something and it's perfect, I'm not kind of really interested in that. I'm much more interested in the thought process of how things get put together and why you do certain things. They add this to this to this to this to this and bake at 180 degrees. It's kind of a little bit boring to me. So I'd much rather faff around and kind of wing it and make something a little bit more interesting. Because I don't always think, I think if you just to kind of put something together, you can't always get all the ingredients that you want, or maybe you're on a little bit of a budget and you can't afford all the ingredients, or there's things in there that you don't like, so you can always adapt recipes. So what's that? Half a recipe is giving us 10 meatballs. So not really meatballs, they're kind of already cooked, but I think frying them off and then poaching them or cooking them in the tomato sauce when that's ready, I think those will be really kind of quite nice. So I'm kind of curious about that. And then we've got the other half of the mixture, which I think 2 eggs in that, and then we'll kind of see how it goes. I put 2 eggs in that. I've seasoned this as well, so with salt and pepper. I suppose I've got a little bit of parsley in the garden, but I can't be bothered chopping it. But some parsley would be nice in there. So let's say 2 eggs, and then it's more like a case of be able to drop it into the tomato sauce like a dumpling. That'd be okay. That'd be kind of quite interesting. So we'll cook it like the eggs we do in shushushka. So when you drop the eggs in to the chickpea and tomato and the peppers, and you kind of poach them that way. That's kind of quite interesting. I'm going to mess my hands now. I'll just wash my hands, and then I'm not going to be doing this just yet, but I'll just see if it's the right kind of consistency. So what I'm going to do, about that much kind of consistency, and then we'll do that. So I think that'll be kind of quite nice, and then we'll get an idea. So we'll do some quenelles of the dumpling, of the pork dumplings. We'll poach those in the tomato sauce when it's ready. I think those kind of quite nice. But that's roughly that's just slightly bigger. So we'll do it two kind of ways. I just want the dumplings just to be a little bit softer than the meatballs. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to form them just yet. That can just stay in the bowl. In fact, I'm going to a smaller bowl because I'll just end up with. No, actually, that'll stay like that. That can stay like that. They can go in that bowl. I'm trying not to make as much washing up. So that's that. So we'll wait until the tomato sauce is cooked, which will be a good few hours. There's no rush. And the chickpeas are cooked, and then we're back at that stage. Chickpeas might be nearly ready actually. But there we go. That's it for the moment. Right. So I've got a little bit of the tomato sauce heating up at the back of the stove, and I have browned off the meatballs. Are we going to call them meatballs? These circular, are they more dumplings? Are they rissoles? I don't really know. But I brown them off because that's what you do with meatballs. And so we'll just finish off the cooking in the tomato sauce on the back of the stove. And then we're going to cook the dumpling version of the rissoles in this pan. I'm not going to cook the chickpeas in with it. I've decided that I've got too much food. I'm going to do something else with the chickpeas, but ordinarily I would cook the chickpeas in with the dumpling one, or in with there, kind of make more of a meal of it. But I'm going to end up with too much food, and I've got other things planned for the weekend, and I'll just end up with too much food in the house, and that's not what I want. So, other half of tomato sauce in there. So it's kind of a 2 for 1 is this. But I'm going to use a little bit of that chickpea water just to thin that down a bit. So this is when I would put the cooked chickpeas in, but I don't want to end up with too much food. So we'll just water it down, a little bit of the chickpea water. And then we'll turn that up. Turn that down to the back and put a lid on it, give it an hour. I suppose more just to kind of meld the flavours together more than anything else. All we really need to do is cook the egg that we've bound the. Don't want to put some chickpeas in that. No, because I don't want loads of leftovers. We'll just cook them in the tomato sauce. But I'll do the chickpeas in the recipe if it works out. So, quenelles. That was the first one. Just to, what you're really doing is you're just kind of pressing the mixture together using 2 spoons. Works better when it's not coming straight out of the fridge. There we go, that's a bit better. So, see how many we make. Turn that down, don't want it too high. So it's that kind of motion. It's a while since I've done quenelles. I was never that good at them anyway. Some people can do them just with 1 spoon in the side of the container. I am not that person. I suppose I could have formed these into this and then fried them and then put them in the tomato, but it's a 2 for 1, and I was curious if we can just put them in the tomato sauce. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Probably better if it was not out of the fridge and a looser mixture, compacting it so we keep together like that. Let's see how many we get.
But that's a cheaty way of doing it. You can do that. Use the spoon. Yeah, that kind of looks better, doesn't it? You see, it wants to split open. That'll work. I'll get 2 out of this, and I'm done. I'm going to cook it for an hour. Get all the flavours mixing together. It's also taken a bit under the porky flavour. And the dumplings, rissoles, meatballs will take on a bit of the tomatoey flavour. And we'll see how it turns out. That. And this one's going to be a bigger one. See, if I'd have just done all these beforehand, I wouldn't have to do this, but you get to see how they get made. Add that to that. There, that will do. So how many have we got? 8. Is that 8? Yeah. Sink them in the sauce a little bit. Yeah, that's 8. Was 8 meatballs as well? No. There was 10. Just slightly smaller. Anyway, so lid up on. I'll find the lid. We'll cook these for an hour and we'll see how they turn out. Right. These have had an hour. So let's have a look. Just need to cool slightly. Don't want to eat them when they're too in the gas as well. So they look alright. They look alright. I think the brown ones look slightly better. Show a fork. What does the sauce taste like? Need a bit more salt. Well, let's have a see. It's nice and soft. No. Tastes just like the rissoles my dad used to make. Well, better because mine have got more of the fat content in them. So, yeah, that's okay. So that works. Not as nice as proper meatballs they make with raw meat, but nice all the same. It's a bit too much, is that? I don't want to burn myself. Do you know, they're nice. It's not, if you're going to cook meat, if you're going to make like proper meatballs or proper dumplings like that without using pre-cooked meat, you kind of get that mix of flavour going into the sauce, which makes it taste better. But for instead of just however you use up leftover meat, it's a different way of doing it, and it's just something I think you can get a bit bored and a bit tired of the same old things over and over again. So that's certainly a better way of using up meat, rather than just kind of like chopping it up and putting it in lasagna or stuffing it into, you know, pancakes or cannelloni or something along those lines, or just heating it up in a bit of gravy and serving it with some mashed potatoes. It's just something different type of thing. Yeah, it's okay, it's nice, it works. I'm going to eat it. I'll probably freeze some as well, but it's alright. It's alright. I think it'd be nice with the chickpeas. I think I slightly prefer those, probably because they're a little bit softer. So maybe if I was to do them again, I would do them with more egg. Right. I quite prefer those. But anyway, a success, and I shall enjoy those. Yum yum.